Hey guys, I'm Brianna Helbling, and you are listening to Hank Jr. on Hank's Corner. And stick around.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Hank's Corner. This is the first episode for 2023. As always, I'm Hank Jr., part of Hank Jr. Productions, where I'm documenting life's moments through photography, videography, and now podcasting. And tonight on my show, I have Brianna Helbling. Brianna, how are you doing today?
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for letting me be the first person of this year.
Oh, well, thanks for taking the invite. And, I know that you had a very busy end of last year with all the shows that you were playing.
Yeah.
Before we get to that, though, tell me, did you get to enjoy your holidays?
We actually did. My boyfriend and I are both in bands, so our schedules are always crazy busy. We spent probably 5 days at my parents and then went to the complete other side of North Dakota, Minnesota, and then went to his parents. And it was nice. It was, not so relaxing because, traveling and we have pets, so we brought them with, but it was a fantastic holiday. So.
Well, that's good that you got to enjoy it. And you mentioned North Dakota and Minnesota because you're from North Dakota, correct?
Yes. I'm from Mandan, which is right by the capital, Bismarck. And then my boyfriend's from a super small town in Minnesota. And now we live in Fargo right now. So.
Okay. Well, I'm sure it's definitely cold up there. Here in Tampa, Florida, it's definitely not that cold. We did have a bit of a cool morning. I think it got down in the 50s this morning.
Oh, wow.
And that's the way I like it. Yeah, I like the nice 50s and 60s for the winter.
Yeah. Florida is my place I would move to in a heartbeat. And it's still, who knows, maybe one day. Like, I just love every aspect of Florida. So good for you.
Well, and that's good to hear because, if you want offline, we could talk about getting you some shows down here and maybe you can test the water, so to speak.
Absolutely. I'm going to hold you to that.
Oh, well, we'll definitely do that. I'm starting to get into the, I don't want to say managerial spot because I don't want to be doing that kind of thing, but I've made a lot of connections here in Florida and people are always asking, hey, can you get people to play at my venue? And I said, well, I probably could. So, we'll make that happen. But like I said, you were playing quite a lot at the end of last year. How did that feel to be so busy like that?
I'm honestly grateful. I've been doing this, like the bar scene and the music scene ever since, starting at 7 years old, but playing, every single weekend almost has been my life since I was 16. And it was fantastic. I'm super grateful. I've learned the balance of how much to play and when to take time for myself. I graduate from college in May, so that starts up again pretty soon. And I'm, trying to just balance social life, music, which is my full time job, college, and just keeping myself sane in a sense. But I was super, super lucky to have plenty of shows. And it flew by. I had a great time.
And that's good to hear that you are keeping that balance. And, you are young, so now's the time to, stay really busy like that. And, I did that when I was in my 20s as well. But, I can't do that anymore. So kudos to you and keeping that energy. But not only that, but I saw that you're out there meeting some celebrities that I like. And one of that celebrity was Joe Gatto from Impractical Jokers. Tell me about that meeting because he's one of the funniest guys I know.
Can I tell you, this was the coolest story. So I have grown up, since the show came out in 2014, watching Impractical Jokers all the time. And my boyfriend and I, he's in a band called Tripwire. So Lars and I heard that Joe Gatto was coming to Fargo. So 15 minutes from where we live. And we're like, okay, this is happening. And have you seen those videos where someone holds a sign up and they're like, hey, write my next tattoo? And I was like, how cool would this be to get, Joe Gatto to make me some kind of tattoo? And I honestly, jokingly, because I wasn't expecting him to see us or see it, I posted on my Instagram story and I'm like, I tagged him. I'm like, 2 hours until we find out if he's going to see this sign. And we were at one of our favorite spots in Fargo. So we're Spear Hall. So you should probably check that out sometime. Super good. And all of a sudden I see Joe Gatto sent you a message. And I was just like, wait a minute. I clicked it and he's like, hey, if you're coming to the whatever 7, 8 o'clock show, let me know. And I'd love to, bring you guys backstage when you get there and we can meet. So I was like, Lars, we're done eating. We gotta go right now. And and then we went and so genuine. He took us back and he drew me a nice little paw print tattoo because I told him how much I love pets and he rescues hundreds of dogs and he's super amazing like that. And yeah, it was the funnest thing ever. And Lars always wears a hat that says live laugh Lars instead of live laugh love. And that was one of the last things that Joe said as we're walking out. He's like, live laugh Lars, and we're like so it was
Oh,
fantastic.
yeah, that had to be a great moment. And did you drop a CD in there for him that he could take a listen and become your fan as well?
Oh my gosh, I don't know why I did it. I just, starstruck, trying to keep my cool type of thing. Next time.
Yeah, next time, and there might be a next time. And you talked a little bit about the social media part of it, and I noticed that on Facebook you were I want to congratulate you because you were talking about finally reaching 10,000 followers. Now, 10,000 followers is not really a lot, but when we talk about Facebook, a lot of people are moving away from it, and I know you had a special contest because of that. So I wanted to bring that up, but I know you have over 12,000 on Instagram, but really TikTok is where you got a lot because you have 400, almost 500,000 already over there. How does that feel to have so many people following you?
It's weird to me because I've always been, it's not even been about I want to have, a huge following. I just want people to be able to reach my music and connect with it. And it's been surreal. TikTok has really helped me a lot when it comes to getting my music out there more towards people. I know last March I went to Vegas with, a group of people, my family, and some guy came up to me as we were on a Fremont Street, and that was my first time on Fremont Street. And if you want the real me, I definitely was, having a good time, maybe had a couple of adult beverages here and there. But he came up to me and he's like, you're that girl from TikTok. I'm like, are you sure you got the right person? But no, it was super, super cool. Almost more support than anything. And it's, a really, really cool feeling to see that people want to support independent artists.
Yeah, and that's awesome, and I'm glad you're doing well. TikTok is not one of the ones that I'm on yet. I don't know that I would do really well on it. I just got back onto Instagram with the new one, so I'm restarting that. But Facebook seems to be where I do my thing. But who knows? Maybe I'll branch out and do some silly videos on TikTok. I don't know. I don't know if that's what people want to see. But with all success, one of the things that you're having a success with is your latest single called "Reciprocate." Tell me a little bit about that song.
Yeah, so Reciprocate 2 was one of those, thanks to TikTok, that kind of gave me the push to record it. I posted a video with one of my best friends. We're not even, in a relationship whatsoever. I have my person, and I was like, Alex, let me sing you this song. And I, played him Reciprocate. We were just in our kitchen right upstairs here. And all of a sudden, it just took off for me. And what was so crazy is that was one that I wrote right once the pandemic started. It was one of those things where life was changing, not just pandemic wise, but I, was moving away from home, starting college, continuing college. I was done with high school, ended a relationship that you obviously just grew apart. And I wrote this song, and I was like, well, no one else is really going to relate to it because I felt like it was almost too vulnerable, which I've definitely changed my mind since then with, in regards to any song I write. But when I saw all the people on TikTok just messaging me and being like, hey, like this hits home, telling me their stories. I'm like, so not only am I being vulnerable, but now you guys are. And it was the coolest thing to ever happen. And recording it was one of the best decisions.
Yeah, and I know some artists have trouble balancing on how much they release out to the public when you talk about being vulnerable and that sort of thing. But I always find it when they do that because to me, when I was growing up, like you said, you talked about the starstruck. Like I never really looked at the stars and celebrities as people until I got a little bit older. And now it's kind of great to see that, they are real people. And I love hearing music that, comes from the soul like that. And I want to go ahead and play that as our first song here on Hank's Corner. Here's Reciprocate.
You call the shots, and I call the cab. You call me beautiful to make up for the fight we had. You tell me you love me, and I tell you I know. But if it doesn't feel right, well, you tell me we should go. I've never been told like this, never known how to fix my mind, but I'm fine. I'm fine. I need a saving grace and I need it now. I need a resurrection and the Holy Grail. I need a sign from up in the sky. I need answers right. I need a method heart, need a brand new start. He's the one I love, don't let us fall apart. I'm doing everything I can to stay. I need him to reciprocate. We're with your friends, more than mine. And my family comes second all the time. We swear it'll work out, and I pray that it will. So whether we give in or give up, only time will tell. I've never cried like this, never not known how to fix my mind, but I'm fine. I'm fine. I need a saving grace and I need it now. I need a resurrection and the Holy Grail. I need a sign from up in the sky. I need answers right. I need a method heart, need a brand new start. He's the one I love, don't let us fall apart. I'm doing everything I can to stay. I need him to reciprocate. Never been told like this, never not known how to fix my life, but I'm fine. I'm fine. I need him to reciprocate.
Welcome back to Hank's Corner. I'm Hank Jr. here with my special guest, Brianna Helbling, and you just heard her latest single called Reciprocate. And I want to get a little bit, let's back up in time and talk about a little bit how you got started, because I know you started out in talent shows, and I know that one of the things that you did when you were younger, because you were a Taylor Swift fan, is that you bedazzled your guitar. And I bring that up because a couple of the people that I've talked with, I mean, Molly Lovett out of St. Louis, I've worked with her several times. She's done that. And then Ashley LeBlanc out of Canada, she's also bedazzled her guitar. So you're in good company with that besides Taylor Swift. But tell me, go back to those young days and tell me how you got started and where you got the love of music from.
So that's always the hardest thing, is I'm like, where did it actually start? And I started piano actually in kindergarten. But I guess prior to that, my biological father was going through treatment for lung cancer. So we'd be in the hospital and we would play CDs and we would sing nonstop. And that was kind of, like my mom always tells me, you were singing even before you could, form sentences, but somehow you were singing songs. I'm like, sounds about right now. But, I started there, then to piano. Then when I was 7, I started guitar. And from there, it just kind of took off. That's when, as you said, the talent show started. And eventually things just kind of kept falling into place. I played with the full band for like 6 years. And then, the social media kind of was Tik Tok thing happened a few years ago, where that's been super, super cool. And yeah, I guess it's just kind of been a snowball effect ever since singing before I could talk, which is crazy to say, but it's so true. And sometimes it's so cliche, but it is so true.
Well, and you say cliche, and I do hear that a lot from artists on this podcast where they say that, I was very young. Some people say that they were singing in the womb. And I find that really, interesting about, the music skills, because in the line of work that I do, in my full-time job, like there was no way that I would have been practicing it as a kid. That's just not how it works for a regular job. But, for music artists, it's amazing that they kind of know so early that, hey, this is what I want to do. I mean, I didn't know for sure until I got out of high school exactly what I was going to do.
Yeah, it's been pretty surreal. I remember the days when I had just started guitar lessons and I was in my parents' basement and just so upset because I couldn't, figure out just even a G chord, the most standard chord that is, to be played on the guitar. And I guess it just was weird when I finally realized that this is what I want to do. And I guess I'm still in that stage where I'm like, this is what I want to do, but how do I do it? So that's kind of the turning point when you know what you want to do. And then how do you do it? How do you continue to progress instead of just being at a standstill?
Mm-hmm. Well, you're doing a pretty good job of it, and I think you got it. So keep going. But it takes more than one person to be successful, and for artists starting off, family's one of the most important things, and your family is behind you, correct?
Oh, 110%. Yes.
Okay, because I see them like in your videos and all that, and it's great to have that support. Tell me what that means to you.
Oh my gosh, I've said it since day one. I've been so lucky. My whole family has sacrificed so much just to help me try to do the music thing. My mom got remarried when I was about 5 years old, 7 years old, and they got me my first guitar, and my dad became my sound man, and he would travel with us every single show, every single weekend. My mom, I have a younger sister. She's 17 now, but growing up, my mom wanted to come to everything too and was just as supportive. But of course, my sister can't come into bars yet and all that. So it was definitely a lot of time away from my family, but they always made me realize like you're meant to do this, and they never shame me for, in a sense, just keeping our family go. And I've been so lucky to have a family like them.
Yeah, and when I see that, that's why I always bring that up in the podcast, because I like to give credit to those who deserve it, and family a lot of times is the way. And my daughter is not into music, but she plays baseball with the boys, and there's a lot of travel team that's going on, and it does take a lot of weekends to be out there, and all day tournaments and all that stuff, and it can be taxing on a parent. And I want to make sure that they get thanked as well, and I'm sure you thank them, but I wanted the audience to see it as well.
Yeah, well, thank you for that, because they deserve all of the thank yous. I always say to my dad, especially, I'm like, gosh, like I owe you big. If he does something, he's like, yeah, trust me, I'm keeping tabs. Like, it's like one day I hope I can find a way to be like, thank you.
Yeah, I'm hoping my kids will take care of me in my retirement as well. So that's what you have forward to look to. But still back there is there was a time too, as you're getting going, that you tried out for American Idol. Tell me about that experience.
Oh my gosh. So it's been a whirlwind when it comes to American Idol and The Voice. I've made it, past multiple callbacks on The Voice, probably 3-4 times now. The big one for me, which helped get recognition in, my hometown, was American Idol. I, back in 2017, went to Fargo, which is ironically where I live now, and just auditioned. I was like, I've been here before. I always get rejected. Not that I didn't have confidence in myself, but I was like, I just know that if it's meant to be, it'll happen. If it's not, it won't. And I'm going to, proceed with my life and my music. And this one producer, Nancy Urian, she's so sweet. We actually still stay in touch to this day. So she's been such a really, really nice person. And she pushed me through. And then I got to LA and I got to sing for the executive producers. And then they're like, all right, we'll call you. And I made it to that step right before the judges. Honestly, the first time I, was telling everyone about it, but It's probably happened 4 times now, and I've just kept it on the down low because I've been so close, but I don't want to be like the boy who cries wolf where I post about it and then say, oh, sorry, it didn't happen. But no, regardless, it was a fantastic experience. I met so many people. I learned so much about myself, even just on how to handle auditions, but also to stay true to the artist that I want to be and not conform to what I feel like a TV person would want me to be. So yeah, it was a crazy experience. Somewhere on my Facebook, if you scroll to 2017, there's my blonde haired self in LA singing with this girl named Cambria that I met. And we were singing Before He Cheats by Carrie Underwood as we're both just super stressing out, nervous for what's to come. So
And what I always try to do, the people will see when I put out these videos is I go back and I pull those pictures and videos, and so hopefully we can get that here on the show. But I'm glad that you said the one where you want to stay true to yourself, because I've talked to a lot of artists that either have made the show or didn't make the cut. And one of the things that they say with some of these shows, and I'm not going to say which one, but I'll say some of these shows, is that they really kind of tell you what to do. We want you to fit this mold. We want you to sing this song. And when they go back and look at this, they're like, that's not who I am. And, yeah, I made it to the first round or whatever. But if I had my way, I would have been more authentic and done my thing. And that's good that you're young and already realize the fact that you do have to stay true to yourself and, not necessarily conform to what TV wants you to do.
Mm-hmm. No, I could not agree more. And honestly, as we kind of mentioned earlier, a big thing that kind of helped me make, I guess, more so the business mindset kind of click in my head was the Taylor Swift owning her recordings and all that. Because, I mean, to me, to any songwriter, your song is your everything. You put your heart and soul in it. You work on it. They're your lyrics. And it really made me realize that, like, if someone's not going to let me do what I want to do or who I feel like be myself as an artist, then it's not worth it. And you got to just go on to the next path and find someone or something that will support you for who you actually are.
And would you say that that's part of the reason why you're going to college and doing the business administration, so that you can, work on the different aspects of, not just the singing, but the whole industry requires a lot of different knowledge and tactics and that sort of thing?
Oh, absolutely. The business side has helped me so much already. Just, learning how to do taxes, how to market yourself and market others and work on entrepreneurship. And it's some people are like, oh, you're not going to school for music. And I'm like, well, no, because I have my music and that's my thing. But I need the business side if I want to be successful. So I've been super lucky for that. And I always knew, even before I knew I wanted to do music, that I wanted to go to college. And my dad, Todd, who passed away, he also was an advocate. He was in the North Dakota National Guard, but he was about to go back to, become a lawyer, go back to school. And that was something too. I was like, okay, well, he couldn't fully, become exactly what he wanted to be with the plans. And I'm like, so I'm going to go to college. I'm going to get this. And then I know that everything will fall into place how it should be. So.
Well, you seem to be doing pretty good. And then, recently, as we get, you got the album out that it's called Timeless. And, one of the songs on there is called Cowboy in a Corvette. I really like that song. I like the way that you tend to have a little bit more twang to that song. And that's why I kind of like it. And I'm going to play that next here on Hank's Corner.
Awesome.
Read the fairy tales, and it's not like this. They fall off the rails and find themselves perpetual bliss. But what I have is much more than a prince with a sword. I'm gonna make it last. He won't shatter my heart like glass. Leave the saddle. Don't need a castle to leave our roots. He's a cowboy in a Corvette. We'll drive off into the sunset, head on the dash, I call it. Take my hand, put it into drive. If we run away, then we have nothing to hide. You won't stop my heart just 'cause it skips a beat. A fresh start is all we need, so there we go on the open road. Leave the saddle and leave your boots. We don't need a castle to leave our roots. He's a cowboy in a Corvette. We'll drive off into the sunset. Head on the dash, put on the gas, and we're gone. I don't need to be a princess. Never wanted to be like the rest with a fairy tale. I wish you well in a white dress. Keep the horse and keep the sword. The only thing I'm wishing for is a cowboy in a Corvette. If all we have is a tank of gas, it'll help us outrun our past. All we need are a set of keys and a little bit of love in between. He's a cowboy in a Corvette. We drive off into the sunset. Head on the dash, foot on the gas, and we're gone. I don't need to be a princess. Never wanted to be like the rest with a fairy tale. I wish you well in a white dress. Keep the horse and keep the sword. The only thing I'm wishing for is a cowboy in a Corvette.
And was one of my favorite songs by Brianna Helbling here on Hank's Corner, Cowboy in a Corvette. Now, I hope you don't mind, but for this next section, I want to get a little bit more serious because I know that, just from reading from your post, and that's why I'm bringing it up because you've shared it, but I know that you've had some struggles along the way. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh my gosh. Where do I begin? How long do we have, really? No, I mean, everyone
We have
has,
what you want.
everyone has their struggles. And for me, one that I used to think I had to just keep to myself because it was so personal. And I was like, everyone's going to think I'm just trying to get a sob story, which wasn't the case. But back in, when was it? Early 2020, I knew that something was wrong. I was losing weight like you wouldn't believe, and most people would be like, oh my gosh, that's awesome, that's every person's dream. And if you're working for it, yes, but if you're doing it in an unhealthy way, absolutely not. So I admitted to my boyfriend, I'm like, something's wrong, I need to go in, or I need to go to get help for months. Like I can't go on stage anymore and not liking how I look. And I told my parents, I'm like, something's wrong. And realizing that it was an eating disorder, which was something I always was like, how do people have those? Like, how does your mind get into that? And then all of a sudden I realized that it was something my mind was slowly conforming to for like 5 or 6 years prior, all throughout high school, some of middle school. And eventually you just kind of hit rock bottom and you're like, I don't want to do this. How do I even get on stage? I was pretty much passing out because I wasn't letting myself eat food. And I I remember the summer before I started eating disorder like treatment, I was in Florida with my family, and all I cared about was the way I looked in a bikini. I wouldn't eat all day at the beach just so I could get cool pictures for Instagram. I remember looking at my mom and I'm like, Mom, I can't be at the beach anymore. We need food because I'm about to pass out. And it was just a never ending cycle where it's like, I'd much rather be healthy and, eating pizza with my friends instead of being afraid of it. And finally, in December of 2021, I started treatment, and it's helped tremendously. And that's also, as things progressed, when I decided I'm gonna post about it, not for the sake of wanting attention drawn to myself for that, but the sake of when I was at the lowest of my lows, I looked for people, whether they were someone who had like 10 followers, 100 followers, a million followers, just someone who was able to share their struggles with it, because then I knew that I wasn't alone. And that's a saying that it's like, you're not alone. And it feels like you are if you're not getting help and you're keeping it to yourself. So I finally took the plunge to tell people about it. I told, my family about it. They came to shows where I'd sing songs about it. And it was the most just freeing feeling, because it's showing that you're winning and you're not going to let this mindset tear you down. So
Yeah, that's wonderful how it all turned out. And I will back up a little bit. So, I've talked about mental health in general on the show and different forms of it. And whether it's, depression, or whether it's, like you said, maybe an eating disorder, there is something that's within us that may be a little bit broken. And that's just something that we have to work on. But when it comes to what you're talking about as well, did you feel a lot of pressure from society, or did you just put that pressure on yourself?
I would say it's both. I feel like there's not such a clear answer. You are your own worst critic is something I've always thought of. And I was putting the pressure on myself, being like, okay, you have to do this, but you also have to look like this. And then, it was never ending, and it was unrealistic. No one could look like the ways that I was telling myself you had to try to do both. But also, I feel like a lot of it that stemmed from me was being in front of people on stage ever since I was, 14, 15, 16, and always, dressing up, doing my hair, doing my makeup, and just not always feeling like I had to be this perfect person that had her life together, which is obviously so far from the truth. But I think it was just a combination of not really knowing how to handle it at the time. So I would just push it on the back burner. And then eventually my whole world came crumbling down, and I had to build it back up slowly.
Yeah, and I have a similar experience. I guess quite not as severe, and it has nothing to do with necessarily looks, because I already know that I don't even know why I'm doing a video podcast. It should be without that, but my thing was always with my photography or the videography. And when I first started out, and not so much when I first started out, but once I first started really going, I would often compare myself to a lot of other people too. And I would say, well, my work's not good enough. It doesn't look like that. Or I'm not getting as many followers, or, as many bookings as maybe some of the other photographers. And it was very difficult for me. And I don't know personally if that, when I asked you the question, if that was something that I put on myself, or society in itself does that. But at the same time, that is your brand, because you're out there making music, you're out on stage, you're posting on social media. You want that to look good, because you want people to see you and be noticed. That's how you're going to make your money. And that's the same thing with photography. And you want that, but at the same time, you got to balance that and realize, hey, you're still your own person, and people just have to like you for yourself. And sometimes that's harder for people to realize.
Oh, absolutely. It's a hard thing where you can't really wrap your mind around it, because it feels so out of reach, but yet it's right there if you let yourself keep it in front of you. So no, yeah, and I feel like things like that are so common, and people, I guess, don't necessarily always share it. They just want to keep it to themselves, or, they say it's not to a certain level, but to everyone, regardless, it's not a fun thing to go through, and it shouldn't have to be to a specific level. Just like the fact that someone had to go through something like that is not fair.
Right. And I always try to bring that up on the show because of that, because there's still the stigma with mental health, all the different things that come with it. But I think it's getting less and less, and the more people like you that get out there and talk about it, somebody's going to be, especially somebody younger too, is going to see that and say, you know what, if someone is successful, as Brianna Helbling that has, almost a 500,000 followers is going through that, but realize, hey, that's not the way to do it, that, that might inspire somebody to say, hey, you know what, I don't have to worry so much about what I'm eating. Like you said, just go have that pizza, have a good time with friends, because that's what really life's about, is enjoying those moments, not suffering through them.
Absolutely. Which, yeah, that's the way to do it. I think now I can eat the pizza, I can eat pasta, I can not work out for a day because I don't feel like it, and I can sit on the couch and watch movies. And that's from the help of looking up to people who spoke about things that were going wrong in their life, and I respect them so much, and they helped me get through this.
Yeah, and you can only get so much, and thankful to those family and friends that do support people that go through this, but you get so much more when you hear somebody that goes through it firsthand. So thank you for sharing that. And to go along with that, I want to play Fearless, because I think that's an appropriate song to play at this point.
Yes, I'd love that.
That you put on me, curls in my head for everyone to see. Little do they know we're about to go say goodbye. Daddy got sick before I turned 3. You held us together how we're supposed to be. Never do I ever remember seeing you cry. It's funny how we change the plans can make it hard to understand, but you took God's hand. You have always been stronger than a diamond when it's sitting on a ring. Smart enough so I can ask you anything. Pretty enough to wear your red dress. When you walk in the room, you're turning heads. Hopeful enough to know the best will come when everything feels like it keeps on falling down. You have always been fearless, and that's how I wanna turn out. Years passed and something changed. One of those things was your last name, from a God-sent man with his name in mind. It must have been a sign. A little girl came into hell and back. The doctor said she barely had a chance, but you never gave up. You just had love and it was enough. You have always been stronger than a diamond when it's sitting on a ring. Smart enough so I can ask you anything. Pretty enough to wear your red dress. When you walk in the room, you're turning heads. Hopeful enough to know the best will come when everything feels like it keeps on falling down. You have always been fearless, and that's how I wanna turn out. Stronger than a diamond when it's sitting on a ring. Pretty enough to wear anything. Hopeful enough to know the best will come when everything feels like it keeps on falling down. You have always been fearless, and that's how I wanna turn out.
Welcome back to Hank's Corner. I'm Hank Jr. along with special guest Brianna Helbling, and she is definitely fearless. And for this last part, I always like to want to know a little bit more about the artist, a little bit more personally, try to figure out, what they like to do on the side besides music. And right off the bat, I'll ask you, and you mentioned it too, that, you talked about animals, and I know you have a little dog called Paris. I don't know if it's little anymore, but how's that going?
You know, it's something. Let me tell you, if you want the truth, I love her to death, absolutely. I did wake up this morning and realize that she had a little accident on the bed right on top of my feet. So guess who
Mm.
was sleeping on the couch from like 6 a.m. till whenever I got up. So that was fun. But no, like all of that aside, she's amazing. We have a little rescue kitty, Raina, and she's gonna be 4 in May. We have two parakeets. My sister just actually is watching our guinea pig right now because it wasn't safe with the dog because she thinks she's a toy and I didn't want her to get hurt. So my sister has her, but we also had our guinea pig Ginny. And yeah, I've always loved animals, and I'm thankful that I'm with someone who can support my crazy ideas of, hey, let's adopt another pet. Hey, let's go look at Furry Friends Rock and Rescue online and get another cat. And I mean, it happened.
Yeah, and I hear that. We've done our share of rescuing. We're finally down to one chocolate lab is all we have left, and
Oh,
hopefully we're going to say that this time we mean it. That this will be the last one because as you get older, it gets a little harder to take care of the animals and trying to find somebody to do that. But animals are definitely fun. I enjoy them, and I'm glad that you're out there, rescuing them. But besides with the pets, what are you doing in your spare time when you're not playing music?
ooh, see, that's so
Is
hard.
there any spare time?
I mean, I try to make sure there is. Honestly, I love traveling. I even if it's not music related, I we were talking about Florida. I fell in love with Key West. I went there last May. I'm going back in May. I will never say no to a trip if it's Mexico, Bahamas, Key West, even a road trip. I'm all for it. I love reading. Actually, that's been my favorite thing. I go through books upon books because it's just a nice way to relieve stress. Obviously, songwriting, which I know is still related to music, but it's more a personal thing to kind of, help with your mental health and just keep you going. And I'm trying to think. In the summer, I love to rollerblade, going on bike
Mm.
rides. It's I guess it varies. Like in the winter here in North Dakota, there's minus skiing and snowboarding, which I have been skiing before and I loved it, but with the weekend shows, it's really hard to kind of break away and do that now. But I don't know. I guess I think I'm just a social butterfly. So if I'm not playing, I love to just we even just go bowling or go to the arcade, or we'll meet up with our friends for dinner, a couple drinks. And I just love being around people. I love having conversation. I love hearing people's stories. And I guess, yeah, if I'm not playing, I'm still going to socialize and just try to get to know more people too.
Yeah, I would never guess from this podcast that you were very social.
Never.
no, no, and I like that. They make the best guests. And so when it comes for all the travel, I'm sure you got to be listening to music out there. You're on my playlist now. Tell me, who is currently on your playlist?
Oh, okay. Well, the given is Taylor Swift. She's still my go-to. I convinced my boyfriend we got to go to her concert, so we're going to Texas. Um,
So you got tickets then with all that fiasco. You
yeah,
got some.
it was fantastic. We're row 5, and I started crying because she's the one person that is, the main reason why I played. So Taylor Swift, 100%. And a lot of people have known me as like the country singer, but obviously I am that. But I've really ventured out. I love listening to Lauv and Julia Michaels, and obviously Kelsey Ballerini, Fletcher. I think that my it just expanded so much. And my boyfriend's a huge pop punk, so he loves, like the Blink 182, Simple Plan. And that's really, portrayed onto me too. And I've started to incorporate those into my show. So if you would ask for a playlist of everything I listen to, it'd be all over and you'd be overwhelmed.
Those are the best playlists. I
They
love
are.
hearing that. All right. And, we're just getting started here in 2023, but, there's a rumor going around that there might be something in the works with you. Do you want to give us a little hint here on Hank's Corner? What might be coming up?
Oh my. Well, let's just say I wrote a song that might be a love song, which is completely opposite from Reciprocate. So this one's a love song. It's called Your Hometown, and I recorded it with Neil McCoy's studio in Nashville, Steve Mandile, and it'll be coming out really, really, really soon.
Well, everybody definitely be looking for Your Hometown, and I guarantee that I'm going to be putting it on my New Music Friday post that does come out. And we're going to go ahead and end the podcast with one of the songs that I think is just such a fun song to listen to. It's called Better Run. But before we do that, I just want to wish you, all the success in 2023. We'll try to see if we can get you down here in Florida to play. But if you ever want to be a guest on Hank's Corner, you're more than welcome to do so.
I would love to. Thank you so much.
Dramatic drama queen, but this time I do. 3 years ago you laid it down, followed him round the shady town. So throw away your dusty crown, 'cause I'm sick of you. Hey, oh, there she goes like a repeat on that radio. Got a goodbye, just meant take it slow. She won't leave him alone. Hey, oh, there he comes next, a happy beat just like a drum. He swears to me that I'm the one, so honey, now you better run. I know sometimes I can be a little bit crazy, but when it comes to him and me, I'm not taking any chances. 3 years ago